Hey guys, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Joseph Mavericks. I'm a graphic designer by day and a content creator by night. In the past 2 years, I've published over 200 articles, mostly around the topics of productivity, self-improvement, and entrepreneurship. In this video, we're going to be talking about journaling. Back in January of 2020, I wrote an article on the journaling system I was using at the time. And at the time, this system I put in place for myself really helped me getting started with a solid, consistent journaling practice. And that helped me keeping posting content, getting ideas, becoming a better content creator in general. But also on a more personal level, it helped me getting more clarity in my life of who I was and where I wanted to be, where I wanted to go. First thing I want to clarify in this video is that productivity techniques work differently for everybody. There's no one-size-fits-all plan, and that's something I always like to remind people with my content. I don't make this kind of content for people to follow a clear-cut strategy on how to 10x their productivity, become the best versions of themselves, and stuff like that, right? That's not what I do those videos for. What I do is I give inspiration and ideas to get there, but at the end of the day, you need to find your own strategy and create your own plan to get to your own goals. I always say this about my content. Take what you think you need and leave out what you don't want. But remember to always make a distinction between I'm leaving this part out because I actually don't think it's relevant for me, or I'm leaving this part out because I'm scared or lazy or I'm not ready for this kind of change. Change takes time and it's hard, but at the end of the day, you have to pick at least a few elements to move forward. Those elements will then become your foundation for success. And one of those elements, which I believe can help build a very strong foundation for success for almost everyone, is journaling. I do believe there are a few universal habits that can 10x the chances of success for anyone who's willing to implement them in their routine. No matter the person in charge, the goal, the time frame, the environment, I think some habits do just work, and I think journaling is one of those habits. I've personally been journaling on and off for the past 10 years and kind of always wrote down my thoughts, ideas, and stories as a kid and basically for as long as I can remember. And I switched to a consistent journaling practice right around the time I started blogging, so that's 2.5 years ago. Obviously, the pandemic kind of took a toll on my routine, like with a lot of people, so there's been some gaps here and there, but now I'm back on the journaling bandwagon. So the system I used to work with is based on 3 different types of journal. One for daily and weekly planning, one for ideas, on-the-go notes and thoughts, and one for a 5-year memory book project. So the first one, the one for weekly and daily planning. It's from the brand Inspire Now. Here. And I used to have my own productivity template at first. I was not using a journal for it. I designed it myself in Illustrator and it looked like this. The problem with it was that after a few weeks, I ended up with like a lot of sheets flying around, not in the right order and just all over the place. Tracking progress and consistency and finding potential patterns in my routines wasn't easy at all with that approach because it was just all over the place. I also tried a digital version at some point. I would input the data in a spreadsheet. I loved this option at first because I could automatically plot charts and graphs around the data, and I'm a data nerd, so I love that. But I wasn't consistent. I would forget to do it at night. I would have gaps in the data. So what I realized was that I was a lot more likely to be consistent with this if I implemented the tracking process in my morning journaling routine, because I was already doing that every day. Every morning I would take 5 minutes to write down my thoughts, take a look at the tasks for the day. So I figured I could start tracking some data in there as well. So from that point, I researched a ton of different productivity planners. I wanted one that really fit my expectations in terms of data tracking and insights. And that's how I ended up choosing the Inspire Now journal, but with a few tweaks of my own. So the page I use the most is obviously the daily tracker, and here's what it looks like with my modifications. So no changes for the top 3 tasks of the day. I always use that, and in fact, I put the most emphasis on the first task. Having one task you absolutely have to check off every single day is a very powerful concept, and one I borrowed from 2 books, The One Thing by Gary Keller and Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. I highly recommend you read both of these books, links in the description down below. In terms of my reward for achieving my goals, I don't really do rewards, at least not in a scheduled way. So I just use this section to write down my state of mind in the morning. In the health and well-being category, I actually just write down a summary of my day, not because I'm not healthy or because I don't want to keep track of my well-being, but because I just prefer to write down a summary of the day, which in a way is also keeping track of my well-being. And if I run or exercise, I just do it. And then the 3 things I'm grateful for today, I use that when the summary is short enough that it doesn't take too much space, and otherwise I just keep writing the summary of the day in that part. Every week, I define the goals for the week ahead and I reflect on the past week. And the Inspire Now journal has 2 pages designed specifically for that, and they're great. So on the My Goals for the Week page, we have those 6 areas taken from the Wheel of Life template. So the premise of this template is that you split your life in a bunch of areas, sometimes 6, 7, 8, it depends on the template, and then you choose short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals that fit in each of those areas. So I use that on a weekly basis, and then there's a great habit tracker below that. So it's funny because I had to read my article again to prepare this video, and it's funny to look back at the data I was tracking at the time. You know, things like number of steps walked in the day, if I ran the number of kilometers I ran, whether I ate 3 fruits or not, my sleep score, and my day score. These days I don't really track the 3 foods thing anymore, and the number of steps, I don't do that either. I do track a bunch of extra things, and here's a sneak peek of it. I love tracking habits in the table because I can see how they depend on each other by crossing the data points together. For instance, if I get a previous day score of at least 3 out of 4, a sleep score of at least 3 out of 4, and if I ran, I know it's most likely going to be a good day tomorrow. But if I didn't run, then I need a 4 out of 4 sleep score to have a great day the next day. There's a ton of other pages in this journal. I don't use all of them. Things like trips to have, books to read, birthdays, a fitness plan, a debt management plan, a project planner, a calendar for each month. It's very comprehensive, more than I need it to be, frankly, but the weekly planning is just really nice, and I haven't found that anywhere else. Inspire Now provides a free PDF to discover all the templates they offer in their journal. I put the link to that in the description down below. Inspire Now is an awesome productivity planner which works great for me. It covers 6 months of the year, and you get a discount when you reorder for the next 6 months after that. I highly recommend this journal, whether you're just starting off with journaling or you've been doing it for a while. It can really help you clarify your vision, your goals, and the roadmap to each one of them. The second journal I use is a dotted notebook with numbered pages. I use this journal to write and draw on the go or at my desk. I log article ideas in there, pitches, sketches, just anything that crosses my mind really. I used to use a blank notebook without dots, but everything was lacking structure. It was all over the page, and it was always hard to get back to an idea I had written 2 weeks ago because it was just lost in the storm of scribbles and doodles. I just didn't know what page I wrote it on. So because of that, my dotted notebook has to have at least these 2 features. Number 1, numbered pages, and number 2, a table of contents. This way, if I have something I know I will want to get back to later, I can write it down in the table of contents and indicate the corresponding page number. The dots on the page have really been a game changer for me. I mean, it's a really simple thing, but my handwriting is terrible, so it just really helps with structuring everything. One thing on the dotted notebook trend that's been on the rise for a while now, if you go to Pinterest or Instagram, you see a ton of notebooks that look like pieces of art. This looks amazing, and it can definitely motivate you to structure your work and to track your progress when you spend so much time making everything look that nice. But my dotted notebook looks nothing like this. I use it as a brain dumper, and that's it. The dots, the numbered pages, and the table of contents are enough for me to stay motivated to use my journal. But again, props to the people making their journal look like a piece of art. It's amazing. Again, I put all the links to the journals I'm using in the video description down below, so that's where you'll find a link to that journal as well. The third and last journal I use is a 1 line a day 5-year memory book. I found out about this super cool item in an interview I did with Amy Chan. Each page of this minimalist notebook represents 1 day of the year with 5 entries for 5 years. So in 5 years from now, when you write about your day on January 10th, for instance, you will be able to see where you were 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago on this exact same day, on the same page. That's pretty cool. I think this is an amazing tool for self-development, motivation, and long-term vision because so many people pick up something to work on, they tell themselves they're going to keep at it, and then they drop it, 3 weeks or a month later with no results. But the secret lies in consistency, and the simple act of just tracking your day one day at a time for 5 years can really help. Once you've defined the project you want to dedicate your time to, you have to be willing to put your head down, get to work, and all without expecting any results before a long time. Sometimes a year, 3 years, 5 years, who knows? Just work on your project without expecting any results, and the rest will flow. I believe the accountability that journaling requires, and specifically this notebook format, can help achieve great results. So check it out, link in the description down below. I know I said this video is about journaling with 3 notebooks, but here's a little 4th one as a bonus. This is a mini A7 notepad from Clairefontaine. It fits in any pocket, it's super convenient to write on the go, and it weighs almost nothing. Look, it weighs almost nothing. It's really small too, 7.4 centimeters by 10.5 centimeters. And I often transfer ideas I wrote throughout the day from this tiny pad to my dotted notebook at night before going to bed or in the morning when I journal. So that's it for the little bonus. And again, link to this tiny notepad in the video description down below. Now it's not upside down. Conclusion. Journaling is one of the few universal habits I truly believe can change lives. I mean that. The strategies I talk about in this video have proven very efficient for me in the past, and they keep working consistently as I move forward, although I fine-tuned the strategy a little bit over time. But it's always centered around journaling. That's the core habit. And remember, everyone is different. Journaling can be done in a ton of different ways. I just showed you how it works for me, and what matters is the result. So now it's your turn. Go figure out how your journaling works for you. Grab a pen, get a journal, and start planning your success. Thank you guys so much for watching. As usual, it means the world to me that you're checking out my content. Thank you so much. Stay tuned for next week's video. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit that green thumb, blue, whatever color it is. Just hit thumb up. Drop a comment if you'd like to do that. And yeah, that's it. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next week. Enjoy the journey you're on.